Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video like up. Kevin McGarry has spoken about many things in his career: scripts, characters, sets, stunts, jokes, and the beautiful chaos of filming a show that has stretched across more than a decade. But whenever he begins to talk about Kayla Wallace, there is a noticeable shift. His voice softens. His sentences stretch. His thoughts linger. It's not acting, not PR charm, not carefully rehearsed language. It's something unmistakably human. Something built quietly, unexpectedly, and deeply on the very soil of Hope Valley. And when he reflects on meeting his future wife on the set of When Calls the Heart, he makes it sound like destiny disguised as scheduling. With a pandemic that came out of nowhere and somehow pulled two people toward each other instead of pushing them apart. On paper, the story looks almost too cinematic. A beloved, long-running romance drama. To characters who had no reason to cross paths in any major way initially. Two actors arriving at different times, with different arcs, different pressures, and different dreams. And yet, as Kevin tells it, everything that mattered was happening behind the camera. Long before Hardy's ever wondered whether something was going on between the charming Mountie and the graceful newcomer with a dancer's poise and a storyteller's heart. He remembers the day she walked on set not as some slow-motion romantic movie moment, but as a subtle instinct he couldn't explain. It was during season 6, at a time when Kevin was settling into the vast landscape of Hope Valley and trying to find the rhythm of playing Nathan Grant. Kayla had been cast as Fiona, the sparkly, modern, slightly mischievous barber who would bring an entirely new energy to town. They met between takes, somewhere near the row of props that represented the daily life of Hope Valley. Kevin, tall and naturally reserved, offered one of his polite greetings. Kayla, bright-eyed but shy in her own way, returned it with a smile that stunned him with its warmth. It could have ended their two actors acknowledging each other, moving on, letting the faster current of production sweep them into separate days. But something hung in the air. A curiosity neither of them named. A softness in their interactions that others would later describe as obvious, even though the two of them had no idea what they were stepping into. Kevin now says they clicked quietly, which is exactly how it began. They were colleagues first, observers of each other's craft. He admired her discipline, the way she took direction, the subtle intelligence she brought to all of Fiona's dialogue. She admired his steadiness, his humor tucked beneath a serious jawline, and his ability to deliver intense scenes with gentleness. They would talk during breaks about acting techniques, about where they grew up, about the cold days on set when the only thing keeping everyone warm was laughter and layers of costumes. Nothing dramatic, nothing instantly romantic. Just two people discovering how icily they could talk to one another. Then the world shut down. The pandemic arrived like a thunderbolt no one had time to predict. Production halted. Vancouver streets grew silent. Airports closed. When Calls the Heart had to adjust everything: protocols, schedules, sets, even the type of scenes that could be filmed safely. Cast and crew members who once wandered around freely now had to remain in small circles. People who saw one another daily suddenly had only each other to lean on. The emotional distance between colleagues shrank because the physical world around them tightened. Kevin often describes the pandemic as the strangest blessing, a contrast he acknowledges with humility. The world was hurting. People were isolated. Anxiety was everywhere. But within that incredibly challenging time, something delicate was unfolding between him and Kayla. Something that might have taken years to grow if not for the slow, silent days of lockdown. There were no fancy dates, no restaurant outings, no events, no large gatherings where people usually discover chemistry. Instead, there were long conversations, walks, coffee on cold mornings, shared worries, shared humor, shared quiet. They learned who the other person was at their core, not in performance, not in production energy, but in stillness. That stillness is what Kevin says solidified everything. They had both been living away from family while filming, both wary of the uncertain future, both navigating the surreal experience of working during a pandemic. It created a bond that felt sheltered from the noise of the outside world. When you strip away the distractions of normal life, all that remains is truth. And the truth between them became undeniable. It wasn't long before the rest of the WCTH family noticed. Erin Krakow, who had a front row seat to the growing connection, once joked that she could always tell when they were having a silent conversation without words. Pascal Hutton teased that the two of them seemed to orbit each other in the same way. Rosemary and Lee do effortlessly and inevitably. Castmates saw something forming long before fans did, because the energy between Kevin and Kayla wasn't loud. It wasn't a whirlwind. It was steady, like the rhythm of Hope Valley itself, as filming resumed with strict rules. Kevin and Kayla became each other's emotional anchor. They supported one another through uncertainties, rehearsed lines together, and slowly built a private world where the pressures of acting didn't intrude. Kevin once mentioned that the best part of those early months was how simple everything felt. No expectations, no publicity, no labels. Just trust. Trust became love. Love became a partnership, and that partnership deepened in ways. The show Never Scripted Kevin has said that the pandemic taught him something vital, that love grows strongest in quiet, ordinary moments. He and Kayla had those in abundance. They cooked together. They read scripts side by side. They shared music. They took solace in each other's company during one of the most uncertain eras for actors around the world. At a time when so many relationships struggled under isolation, there's found oxygen in honesty, laughter, and the comfort of knowing the other person was choosing to stay. When restrictions lifted and life began to normalize, their bond didn't dissolve with the reopening of the world, it expanded. They started appearing together more often, attending events, sharing photos, letting Hardys in on the bliss they had kept private for so long. Fans noticed the gentle way they looked at each other, the calmness in Kevin's expression when Kayla was by his side, the spark in Kayla's eyes whenever Kevin made one of his trademark deadpan jokes. Their relationship became a quiet symbol of hope for many fans who had connected with when calls the heart during brutally lonely months. Hardy celebrated them because their love story felt real, not glamorized. Grown in challenge, strengthened by vulnerability, carried by two people who didn't chase the spotlight, but found each other in the middle of it. Kevin's reflections now come from a place of gratitude. He often talks about how surreal it feels that a job he accepted years ago brought him not only a character he came to love deeply, but also the woman who would eventually become his wife. He recognizes the irony. While Nathan spent seasons navigating complicated emotions, Kevin found clarity in his real life. While Hope Valley's romantic arcs twisted and turned, his love story unfolded in the spaces between takes, in the simplest human acts, and in the quiet reality of a global crisis. He mentions how filming scenes with Kayla after they became a couple added a new layer of comfort. There was an ease in working together, a professional respect that never disappeared, and a shared sense of humor that made long shooting days feel lighter. They had the ability to switch from co-stars to partners seamlessly, something he credits to their mutual trust and their genuine friendship. And then came the milestones Hardys still gush about: the engagement, the wedding, the adorable photos, the warmth that emanated from every image, every story, every little behind-the-scenes detail. Their journey from coworkers to soulmates felt like something Hope Valley would script, and yet it was entirely their own, natural, unforced, born out of unexpected circumstances no writer could have predicted. Kevin often says that COVID changed his life in ways he didn't anticipate. It reshaped the world, the industry, and the rhythm of daily existence. But in that upheaval, it revealed the person who made everything feel meaningful. It pushed two people closer, not because of convenience, but because of character. He saw who Kayla was under pressure, under uncertainty, under isolation, a woman with resilience, kindness, intelligence, and humor. And she saw him in the same unfiltered way. That mutual discovery is what he believes anchored their love. When Kevin reflects on those early days now, talks about gratitude more than fate. Gratitude that WCTH created the space for their paths to cross. Gratitude that they were able to navigate a difficult chapter together. Gratitude that something good grew in a time full of fear. And gratitude that they get to share a life built on authenticity rather than circumstance. They continue to support one another's careers, celebrating roles, premieres, and projects, always cheering from either the red carpet or the quiet corner of home. When he talks about Kayla's accomplishments, pride shines through every word. When she talks about him, admiration is unmistakable. They are two artists who fell in love in one of the most unpredictable periods in recent memory, grounding themselves through honesty and partnership.